Hello, my name is Timothy Courtney, and I am the Palm Springs Psychic Medium. Thank you so much for being here, especially all of you sun lovers, being that I'm here in Palm Springs. I know that has to be a good thing. When you love the sun, you want to be where the sun is shining all the time. And pretty much that's what we have here in Palm Springs. Actually, what's interesting is today it's 94 degrees and we're in June. That's really good for us, actually. We're kind of had a break the last 2-3 days. But I will tell you this, next week, if you're planning to be here, it's going to be 117 degrees. They're showing that for like 3 days in a row. So that's not our thrill when we live here. It may not be your thrill any day, but it's like what we find is that maybe you are someone who likes the heat. So if you are, get on out here for our summer months because you'll love it then. We get a lot of people from Europe that usually are here. We'll see how many come this year, but we do usually have quite a few. I want to ask, how are you doing today? Has anybody asked you yet? It's like, how are you doing today? Maybe you are feeling really relaxed right now as we're in this show, or maybe you're feeling not so relaxed. What we can do right now, let's do this together. Let's take a good deep breath together because maybe some of you need it. And if you don't think you need it, you might still need it and it's still going to feel good. So let's just bring in big inhale and out through the nose. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. It's in through the nose and out through the mouth. Let's try it again, through the nose and out. Oh, that feels good. Now this time, I'm going to ask you to go a little bit further. I want to ask you to use your intuition. Okay, here's your little psychic side. Go use your intuition and check in your body. Maybe it's in your head, maybe your neck, go down through the body and your chest, feeling heavy and pressure. Maybe you're feeling tightness in your abs, or you're feeling in your waist is all locked up, your feet are tied up, or maybe you're squinching your buttocks right now as we're here together. And if you are, that's fine if you're trying to work those muscles, but if maybe we just need to relax a little bit. So find that place and use that intuition, find out where it is. I want you to breathe in, and when you do breathe in through your nose, go to that place. Imagine that you're in that place is where the breath is supposed to go. You're going to breathe it right into that place. When you do, I want you to take it a little bit further. When you think you've taken enough breath, take a little more and keep concentrating on that spot. Okay, not on, I don't know if I can take any more, Aaron, but concentrate on that spot. So let's do that again, okay? Let's breathe in through the nose, find that spot and hold it, breathe in a little bit more, keep staying in that spot, concentrate there, breathe in a little bit more, just a little more, and let it out. If you need to do it again, go ahead and do that again while I'm talking for a little bit here, because you're going to love it. By the way, while I was talking about the heat and stuff, I hope you got to see a few of the photos. That's for my backyard here in Palm Springs. It's beautiful, love the view, and you can see maybe why I'm here. Now, if I'm talking just a little fast right now, it's because I just had my afternoon coffee, and which I'm not going to do without, and maybe I got just a little bit of going here. So I've got some energy, that's for sure. So what I'd like to do is ask you to practice that when you're eating, okay? That little breath thing we just did. Practice that just before when you sit down to have lunch, dinner, breakfast, anytime, because our digestion system would love for us to do something loving, caring, and thoughtful for it. And when you realize you sit down, as my sister did when we were here, she was here last year, she sat down one time and said, let's breathe in, find out where you're tight, and let's breathe in and breathe in that place a couple times and get it out. Let's remove it. Wouldn't that be nice to remove it? When she found out, she said, oh my gosh, she said, I had no idea. I was feeling so much stress and tightness in my stomach, in my ab area, and up here on my shoulders. It's like, so when we release that, do you think that would not be maybe a loving, caring, thoughtful thing to do for ourselves and for our body and its digestion? And then we wonder why we have a digestion problem. We can take care of that. So I encourage you to practice that. Now, I'm not going to take any more time other than to say, be sure to subscribe below and be part of this. I want you to do that. It's like so that you know the show, share it with your friends, And today, I just don't want to take any more time because we have an incredibly special person here today who I've gotten the honor to read for a couple of times and get to know. And so here we go. This is why you're here today, to watch the show, and it's why you showed up, is to see our wonderful guest today. So send a little prayer to her and send lots of love and sweet energy right now as we welcome Tani. Hello. Are you there? Yes. I hear you. Now we disappear. There we're there.
Hi. There
Hi. Well, you look fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Sometimes I get up nice.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, when you came to see me, it's like it wasn't like it was on the big joy cloud, you know.
No. Definitely not. Yeah, I've definitely spruced up a little bit since the last time we saw each other, that's for sure.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's like, are you doing well today?
Yes, I am. I'm hanging in there. Things are great. Things have definitely gotten better in a sense.
Yeah.
It's not as dark as it used to be. That's for sure.
That's a relief, isn't it?
It really is. It was very dark for quite a while.
Yeah. I remember. It's like, let's just jump in on some things here, because I know everyone has shown up today. They're going to be watching this now. They're going to be watching this for a long time. And this is going to be a super special one. And I know you know that too.
Yeah, I do.
It can't help but be, you know. We're going to just have some conversation, but let's just start with this. How did you find me? And where were you? What was it that made you search for a psychic medium? Let's let everybody know that.
Yeah, honestly, I typed in, well, I live in Palm Desert, so I typed in Palm Desert psychic / mediums, and I got a list of people. You were honestly at the top of the list, and you're in TripAdvisor, and I went through and I read the reviews. I looked at your website, and honestly, I just kind of felt like a connection with you immediately when I saw you, and I read like just the different stories that and interactions people have had with you with their readings. So I was like, oh, okay, I definitely I'm interested in this. I wanted to try this. So that's how I found you. And then I was able to book with you. Yeah. But I've never seen a psychic or a medium before. I've always been kind of intuitive or sensitive to these types of things. I've always wanted to go, but I never really had a reason. But of course, with the passing of our son, I was in just such a desperate place that I needed some help, some guidance. I needed to talk to him. I just needed some sort of just like a release. And that's what I got when I scheduled my appointments with you, is I felt that release, and I just felt a lot lighter afterwards, just what I needed.
I love that. I'm so happy. I remember you sent me a beautiful email. Thank you.
You're welcome.
To the first reading, you know, and, you know, I have to say, it's like, I'm really good at keeping my emotions out, honestly, it's like of readings and things, because I need to stay in a certain vibration, stay in this certain space. And it allows me. And if I took on everything with everybody, you know, it's like, it made sense. People think I'd be exhausted. I would be.
Yeah, 100%.
But I'm going to tell you, it's like, because I have not told you, when it was over and you were out the door, it's like, I hit my knees. You know, I cried. It's like so hard. It's like, and there was two parts to it. One was for you and Bodhi, which we're gonna hear about here. And also the other part was, I just felt like this huge honor to do and participate in what we participated in together. You know, that experience was just a wow for me as well. And I've done this for many years, but it's like, it was something beyond. And as I told you, you know, and we'll get into more of that, it's like, when I first said his name out loud that morning, just before we got together, I said right away, I remember, and I told you, I said, why do I get this super sweet feeling? You know, I said, I'm just overwhelmed with this, with a sweetness and innocence. And I said, and then you told me,
Yeah.
this situation. So I'm going to ask, if you would, say, just go ahead and why you thought there could be a connection, you know, because some people would say, be more like, well, I'm hoping we will, or it's like, or I believe we can. What was that for you? And let's go ahead and tell the story about who we're talking about and why you came.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously my name is Tawny. I was 38 weeks pregnant with our first child. And out of nowhere, he unexpectedly, he passed away. So he was stillborn. He had a perfect heartbeat that Monday morning at the doctor. And then by that afternoon, I had gone into labor. And when we arrived at the hospital, we found out that his heartbeat was no longer there. And so, of course, that was just absolutely devastating because we were first-time parents and first-time pregnancy, and everything had just been absolutely perfect until it wasn't. And it was just so traumatic for me and for his daddy. And we've just been so lost for so long. But the whole pregnancy, obviously we had a connection, mother and son, but really after he died, we got so many overwhelming signs from him that we undoubtedly, we know it was him, like too coincidental. There's no way like X, Y, and Z could happen and it just not be him. Like there was just like, and luckily I've written them all down. So one day I'll type it all out and have it ready for everybody, because they're really truly unbelievable. Yeah. Not that I've ever seen like spirits or anything, but I've felt them. Like I can feel just like the presence. And so after like just months and months of going through the grieving process, I was really at a place where I was just so lost, like I said, and I needed guidance, and I wanted to connect with him. And so I don't know why I never thought of it before, but I just kind of thought about, well, why don't I see if I can connect with him with a psychic or a medium, because I do feel this strong connection with him after he's died. So I figured that he does want to talk to me. He does want to give me information or signs or just anything. And of course, I'm like, yes, I'll take them. I'll take whatever I can get. And so really, like, I'm so open to everything. And of course, the hope of, what if you do connect with him? What if he is there? What if he does have something for me? Right. Of course, I'm going to take that chance. That's just me personally. Like I would jump at any opportunity to talk to him or connect with him or hear how he's doing or anything.
I think you're right there, where I'd say anybody who's had a loved one who's passed, who has crossed over, I'd say in that way, they would love to have that moment again, have some kind of communication. And, you know, I say what's interesting, you know, there's a reason I do this work. And most people always think I'm doing it for the people here on earth, which that's who I serve, correct? But I'm also in service to those who have passed, you know, and that's who called me to this work. You know, it wasn't people here on earth said, oh, we need you to do that. It was that, you know, it was the spirits that would, in that specific moment, that would change my life completely, from getting off the fence of, I'm afraid, you know, what if, you know, what would people think if I just do this, and how would I do this full time all the time, which is easily done because I was well supported as soon as I stepped into it.
Well, because you're amazing.
Right. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And you're legit, so of course.
Right. You're legit,
sorry.
Right. But there's truth to that. And I love it. And so, you know, what we can say in that, you know, it's always, they always have something to share with us. And in this particular case, it was amazing. It's so beautiful because you had a stillborn. Bodhi, you know, that's where Bodhi was. That's where he left in his journey. And what I can say in that is most people, I thought you were amazing as a mom to want to come hoping if there's something, I want it. And your son had details for you. And it wasn't a type of thing like, oh, it's like, yes, I just had a short life and I'm okay and stuff like this. There were details that came out that there's no way it could be anybody else but that boy, your son.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about some of that because it was amazing. In the first reading, we did too. And remember to say we had different things that came up.
Yeah, but they all connected.
They did. The first part was about him and you knowing for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that his spirit was alive and that he was well. The second one really connected to the part of how he did pass a little bit more, which actually gave you a lot of relief in that, if you remember, because it's like you had some ideas of maybe how it happened. Did you do this? Did I sit too long? And I remember saying in that second one, I said, he's shown me a lot of space in front of him. Yeah. Remember I said, he's shown there's a lot of space there and he's over to the side. And you said, well, he was underneath my ribs.
Yeah, he was always on my left side.
Yeah, and he was hanging there. She said, he was always there. I say, now who else knows that but him, you, and the doctor?
Exactly.
And it's like, and we hadn't met, before and don't know anything. So it's like, that's him sharing his experience. To know that spirit is alive, in that time. And in the first one, I have to tell you, I've told this story to so many people and no one ever hears it without crying. That first one was so powerful, especially in any mother, but I've seen the men cry too. And, it's like, do you mind if I share it?
No, absolutely. Go for it.
Okay.
I love it.
Maybe it might even be a little easier.
Yeah.
And you can feel free to chime in. But I remember when I kind of said, all the sweetness is here. I was overwhelmed with that. And I've never felt that before. I've never done a reading and I didn't know that your child was stillborn. Okay.
And you didn't know he was a baby either.
I didn't know it was a baby either. It's like that was the big deal. It's like, oh my God, so sweetness. That's such overwhelming of that. Just made sense then when you told me, and so I realized that in that we went right into, I remember telling you about his spirit. I said, it comes in like on the wind. I said, this boy is all about nature, being outdoors. I said, he wants you to know that it's like, I explained, I said, I can't remember everything I said about it, but I remember I named like 5 or 6 things about exactly how he'd be. Yeah. And it's like, and you said, you just described his daddy.
Yeah, exactly. It's 100% him just being like always out in nature, always needing to do something, but always wanting to be outside and connected with nature. It's just 100% him.
It was beautiful when you said his daddy. Of course, everyone cries right there, just because that was like his daddy. And you would hope, sometimes it's like, it's going to be like mommy, daddy somewhere, and so he shared his spirit of this is me, mom, mom, dad. So it's like, it went right in. I remember in the second we described his eyes. I said, wow, his eyes are like piercing. It's like just so powerful like this. And you said, well, it's like his dad's.
Yeah, that was bad. Yeah, I know. That was the most amazing thing that you said that, because his daddy does have pretty striking eyes. And of course I was like, oh, Bodhi's gonna have eyes like yours, blah, blah, blah. And so for you to say that and not knowing Brett, obviously I don't have the bright eyes, but yeah,
I remember the word was like lasers. It's like I remember. It's like I remember, and I wanted to go. This is the next part. We talked about use and about what his spirit was like, and that. So that's just, you described his daddy. It's like the next part I remember was like an ultimate, and I said, I've never seen this before. It's interesting because I remember your reading quite well. And it's like, and a lot of times I don't always remember them, but it's like, I remember saying, it's very unique. I've never experienced it before. I said, when people show me and they transition, some people show me how they transition. Some doesn't seem to matter. It's not the big deal. It's not their message. But your child in this case, which I think is interesting to a lot of people that's listening and watching now, is that there wasn't a lifetime to discuss. It wasn't like, oh yes, he went sailing, you know, and he used to like to do this, and you know, remember when this happened, and it wasn't. That's not the situation. But to know that the spirit of this child knew what he did with his mom and dad, and was like the likeness of them genetically, you know, and that what was built into him, went right into, this was just super special. And I said, your son is showing me when he transitioned, he wants to show me, he's shown me this, a sunrise, you know, it's beautiful. Oh, it's gonna get me again, right? He's showing a sunrise, and you cried for a while there, and you just sat up, and I remember you saying, ever since I found I was pregnant, his daddy and I got up at 4 and 5 in the morning to show him sunrise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it was just so, I couldn't believe that you said that. And still like, oh, I love that so much, because of course I always associated him with a beautiful sunrise or sunset, but like even more so after this reading, I know that he's doing them for us, and it always makes us feel like so connected with him when we're able to see a beautiful sunrise that we know that he made for us.
That was the most beautiful, one of the most beautiful experiences in that moment, was to know that that's what your son could offer, could communicate, is I know this is what we did. This is something I did with my mom and dad. And it was on, you know, it's like to know that, and super sweet that to know once again, he did have some things to share. You know, we had several other things, but I remember those in the beginning. It just was, we were off the charts there.
Yeah, immediately. And I want to say, even before you mentioned the sunrise, it was at the beginning of our session, and you said the word deliver, and this was before you knew he was a baby, and that just like blew me away, that like obviously I delivered him, and that's like one of the first words that you said, and then you like rolled into the sunrise, and I was just, oh my God, my heart.
Wow. Wow.
I was just so excited, and I knew that good things were coming after that.
Right, things were coming after that, right? Yeah, we had a box of tissues out that day. I do, I'm sure of that. You know, it's like, thank you, you know, thanks so much for sharing that story, because it's so, I know it's difficult, at the same time there's a joy in it, and I think that's what people sometimes associate with a medium. It's like, oh, it's gonna be painful, I'm gonna cry, and it's different for everybody. Some people that's not gonna happen at all. But in this case, it was very much going to be some painful things in the regard, but there's also a joy in it. You know, if it was, the thing is, I have nothing to offer you, you know, there's no communication, there's nothing here. It's like, I think that would be a lot more painful.
Yeah, if he wasn't there.
Yeah, to know there was nothing, or, you know, it's like you got with someone who doesn't know how to do it. You know,
I know.
It's like, okay, great. Refund.
It's not like it's something I taught him in utero or anything. It's not something I know how to do.
Right. So I love the fact that we're there. My experience has been, I always love a first name first. I never want a last name, but a first name is someone. So we know we get the person, you know. If I don't, your Uncle May came in.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, wait, okay, I like him, but I don't want to talk with him right now.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need you.
I want my uncle.
Other people.
Right. So it's always nice to know that, because it always happens. It's never not experience of not getting that person. So Bodhi showed up, you know, he's here for us. As they can only say, they love and care for us. That's why they show up.
Yeah.
And there's nobody on this planet who doesn't have someone who would love to share something with them. So in this case, I got to ask you, so what was the greatest gift for you because of communicating, being able to communicate with him? What would you walk away with saying was the greatest gift in communicating with his spirit?
Honestly, the hardest thing for us was not knowing how he passed. So when you and I, we had, in the first session, we had kind of touched on what was going on to him inside. And then really in the second session was kind of when we brought all the puzzle pieces together. And one of the first things that he had you mention was if he was measured and the measurements, because there was never an explanation, but just going forward after he died and all the information that I was looking up and gathering just to try to wrap my head around what I could have done or what could have been done differently. I've come to the conclusion that he outgrew his placenta, so he became too big too quickly and it suffocated him. And so you had brought up the measuring, and that if we would have caught it sooner, that we would have had a different outcome. And that really meant the most to me, because I thought that I had done something wrong, because I am type 1 diabetic. And so I was always monitored very closely, even though that was never an issue. But you blame yourself, you find anything or every excuse that you can think of to try to give a reason, because the unknown is deafening, because you think of all these different things. And it's like, I even expressed to you that day, I had the day he died, I had taken a nap. I lay down to take a nap before dinner, and I thought maybe I had rolled over and I suffocated him, because maybe I was laying on him because I was so big at that point. And then I went to labor a couple hours later, so I thought that I had done something. So the best thing that you could have done was to just let me know that it was something that it was not in our control, that if we would have caught his signs sooner, that he would have been here with us today. So it just took a huge weight off of my shoulders. And even just seeing me from one session to the next, it was just, I was so much just lighter. And especially after our second session, because it does take that weight off of your heart, and your mind's not always racing like, well, what if I would have done this or that, was that the answer? But it really confirmed what I was thinking could have happened to him. Yeah. So that's the best thing that I take away that you could have done for me. So thank you so much.
Oh my God, you're so welcome. It's like I was thrilled. It's like to be able to, like I say, I use the word honored. It was thrilling in its own way. And one of the things I do for me that I find in this is I had to find the joy in doing what I do, because so many people think, oh, you must be wiped out. How could you take all that energy? I said, I really don't. I had to find, instead of finding the part where it's hurtful down and what's happening with someone else, I had to find the joy in this. And the joy is making the connection.
Yeah.
It would be a real downer and upsetting if it wasn't.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, it's like it's the joy of knowing, oh my gosh, they are still living. The spirit does not pass. It's not an end deal. And guess what? They were waiting for me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the joy. And so whatever comes through, that I don't know whatever's going to come through between seeing and hearing and feeling them. I just go, you get what you get, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. But it's always what you need to know. Every single time it's the part that fits the pieces or gives you a little information or lets you just know that, yes, that's them. There's no denying that's them.
Yeah.
And I think that's a gift. There's a lot of people watching and listening right now, and be a mom or a father even, or could be a sibling or anybody that's lost a child, or it's been an infant. And some people wouldn't think you could connect with a stillborn or an infant even, or a baby. So what would be an encouraging, if you had something to encourage them about the benefit, or how it just might be something that would be helpful to them? Do you understand that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Do it. Don't second guess it. Just do it. Because if you say no, you'll never know. You'll just sit there and wonder. Like, honestly, because I mean, when I booked your appointment, I was like, oh my God, what if it's like a month out? I really need this information like now.
Right.
I didn't know how busy you were going to be or anything.
Yeah.
And luckily, we were able to get in pretty quickly. And it just gave me such peace of mind and just helped with my healing process. And I would say just kind of propelled it in the right direction, because when I first saw you, I really was just so lost, and I had my dark little grief cloud hanging over me. And it just, being able to connect with him and to just know that he's there and with me is just everything. So if like anybody's on the fence about it, I highly, highly recommend it. It's just, it's life changing. It'll make your days happier, that's for sure. Because I know I replay these sessions all the time, especially when I'm feeling down or if I want to feel connected with them.
Yeah.
So they're very special to me. And like I said, I had never done this before, but I wanted to, and this was just exactly what I needed. I'm so happy I did it.
I am too. You gave me an experience of a lifetime as well. You know, and I'm going to put this, say you gave me, say Bodhi gave us.
Yeah.
You know, he gave us, what a great name. I mean, I love that name.
Me too.
You know, and it was just super good. I have to tell you two things before we go in this, but he's shown me you looking in the closet at clothes. It's like another one is he knows you pray for him.
Okay.
Yeah. He just feels the prayers. It's like he knows that you keep him in a prayerful spot, in a prayerful place. It's like it just seems to like carry him through. So
Yeah.
just wanted to let you know. Okay.
Yeah, I always talk to him, and we always bring him with us and everything. I just, every morning and every night, like I have in fact, I have a little pillow that it's a huggable pillow that has his name on it.
I love it. I love that. Super sweet.
I mean, if he was alive, I would be bringing him with us everywhere. Right. So I have my comfort pillow.
Yeah, I love that. If we're gonna bring this together here, so if I'm gonna say for everyone who's watching right now, I know for me for sure, but I think anyone watching today and being with us at this time, if we were all in a room together, we would be lined up in a row to give you a hug right now.
Thank you. And I would love to have one. I'd love to have them all.
Yeah. So anybody watching right now, through then the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year, wherever you are, and you happen to see this right now, we can still send her the love and good energy and just lots of good, loving, caring vibes, right?
Yes, absolutely. I need them.
Absolutely. So I want to thank you for being with us, and thank you for sharing about your beautiful sun spirit with us today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the wonderful readings and the blessings that you've given me and my partner, our son. We really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Love you.
Love you too. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye. That was wonderful. I'm so happy that you're here today. It's always amazing to have our loved ones have something to say to us and want to share with us. And I love that. It's very special, obviously, as you could see it was for Tani. I also want to bring up, next week on the show, we're going to have a psychic reading. It's going to be a reading that I'm doing with a client, and you'll get to be right in there to find out how this works, how it goes on the psychic side, which will be all about this person's life and what's going on with them and how the future can be for the better. And you're going to find out about that. So be sure to be with us on the next show. And also want you to know that if you would, please, actually something not to know, but to do. If you get there, did you know, here's the question for today. Did you know that a stillborn child could communicate with someone such as a mom or dad? So as Bodhi did with his mom and dad. Did you even know that was possible? Down below in the comments, please put a yes or a no. Okay, I'd like to hear what it is that you think, you know, how you believe is, did you know that that was even possible? I didn't know at the beginning too either. So I'm asking for your answer. Down below in the comments, be sure to subscribe and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.